Okay, I'm doing a video to go through some of the analysis that I've done to work out where this damp might be coming from, and I'll talk about that now. This is basically a 1930s property that I've recently purchased, and I've been, let's just say, modernising. It's quite old in the wallpaper that's been on here for 50 years, and throughout the house as well. It's quite an old style house that needs some modernising, and the wallpaper is very thick. So when I had the property surveyed, there was possible damp down in that right hand corner down there, just to the right of the air vent. He wasn't really sure, but he was kind of like, oh, might be there. Wallpaper looked like it's coming away a bit, and yeah, small signs, but it wasn't noticeably particularly obvious. And I've got myself a kind of half decent moisture tester. The Pro-meter ones are very expensive, like £900 or something, but they are very good. So let's just go through some of the testing I've been doing rather. So this is an internal wall here. Let's put that in. So that's showing 3.4. I mean, it does change a bit, and sometimes you've got to test and test again because it can give you spurious results. You've got to take it all a bit with a pinch of salt. It does also do the pinless mode, which is useful. But where you think you've got damp, it's pretty obvious. It is, yeah, it's pretty obvious. The other part of the house where that he reckoned there was some damp possible is down here. Now this is actually render on the outside of the house, and they've gone down over the DPC. So I need to get that render off. The actual surveyor's advice was to lower the ground level, and it could do with lowering, because it's only really, the DPC is only really a brick high, a bit like that, which I don't, it's supposed to be 15 centimeters up from the ground level, and I don't think it is that, because it's only, you've gone up one brick and then you've got the DPC. But I think the key problem is that the render is going down over it on the outside of this wall here, and that's really the most important thing to do, as well as putting in a French drain or channel drain on that side. And currently it's just brick paving that's just gonna hold all that water. But it's not, actually that's not too bad. It's been dry the last two or 3 days, but last week it was raining heavily every day and night. Really kind of awful. So although I have detected some damp spots, it's actually not as bad as I would expect it to be, considering that the DPC is being breached, and it's been like that for many years. So if we just go over to, this is the external wall, of course. Bays often have problems, apparently. Do a few spot checks here. I mean, that's pretty good. Even 12 is actually okay. It's anything above 16, and you potentially got a problem. So he was saying here. So I'm sort of pushing in a little bit. That's dried out actually. That was a lot wetter. See, this is crumbling now. It's actually dried out. What's this one? Yeah, that was almost flashing. I mean, you can see it's a kind of, you can see how it's just falling away here, clearly. But it's been a bit warmer, and this room does warm up in the sun, so it has actually dried out. But this was quite bad. This was going up to 40s and 50s a couple of days ago. What about that? Yeah, so that's 33. That's actually into the brickwork. there. So what I have found though is just this area here, even though the plaster is pretty old, like other parts have been okay. It's fairly localised here. Might zoom out a little bit over here, but this part's fine. So this is all kind of bay. You can see how crumbly it is there as well. What's that showing? Yeah, 11, not too bad really. And then what I did find, and this is visible, this was what's sort of new to me the other day when it was the day after it'd been raining heavily. You can see just by looking at it how wet it is. And again, this would have been wetter. It's been dry for the last few days, and you know, I've got sunshine coming in. So yeah, dug it away, went into the brick, and I have been trying to test down just on the ground level here. So this is your concrete. It's showing it's 14, 17, yeah, 16. I'm pushing quite hard, mind. 16. You know, and this is that is the DPC, that black bit down here. I actually cut it, I actually chipped a bit off and then examined it, and it is definitely DPC. So I looked on the outside of the house because I didn't even really think the fact that there'd be DPC on the inside wall as well as the external leaf, and of course it makes sense to do that. And a video that I watched said that you can get a DPC that is often at a different height to the internal one, and when you come into this house you step up, so this would be higher than the one outside, but I don't, but yeah, I mean, rising damp, a lot of people say it's, you know, rising damp is actually quite rare, even in solid wall properties where they don't have a DPC. It all tends to be something else often, you know, that's what they say. You might have some opinions on that. Anyway, so yeah, this is definitely wet. That seems dry to me. I don't think that's a problem. And this is the skirting board. I was testing this on the outside, and it doesn't look okay. I mean, it's dried out now, but it didn't look wet. It didn't look particularly bad when I pulled it off. No mould, nothing. So I was a bit surprised at that, really. I mean, it had signs of dampness because it was up against the plaster, but it wasn't too bad. The other thing to mention is that this, of course, is not in the bay. It's just to the side. So let's go and have a look outside. And, I'll go through what I did in terms of a bit more examination. So here we are. This is actually a porch that's been built on. The first thing that I did is just look down and find the DPC, which is down in here. And yeah, that is, you can see it's just kind of like, not quite a brick, just over a brick up. I think ground level should be lower than this. It's all paved, all of this. Now there is a bit of a fall on it, but I don't think you should really be paving. From what I've read, this should be you know, French drain, basically a soak away. Should be a channel put in with gravel so the water can soak away from the house, rather than sit or potential to sit up against the brickwork. What also wouldn't help is having all this foliage, which would kind of keep it and hold it against the wall. And this side, this is where the damp is. So don't know if you can see here, it's very bright. This is kind of where the damp was. this bottom brick here, all along here, it did look a different colour, a bit darker. You know, you could see that it looked like it was a bit wet, but in terms of water ingress through the mortar, it's pretty good nick. You know, it's not too bad at all. Definitely this foliage needs to come away, and I think I would rip this up and put gravel in get it to soak away. But I can't really see a little bit here, a little bit of mortar coming away, a couple of cracks, but generally it's pretty good nick. Again, this is also, it was just to the right of the air vent here, so this is where the damp is. Right here is where the damp is, as well as a bit on that side as well. Again, the mortar looks pretty good. I can't, I'm no expert, but I can't really see how it gets through that. I'm also a little bit perplexed about this, because this is the bit, so this is sort of where I think that bit that's not part of the bay is getting wet. I think there's water going down that gap, because the rest of this area is all, you know, all along, it's all mortared in to prevent water, but here there's a massive gap. So I think water's going down there and going, it can't, once it's there, it can't go anywhere. It's just going to go through the brick, and that's why that is showing particularly, and it's possible this is cavity filled. It's possible that the cavity is actually bringing it through, bridging it through. The cavity filling rather is bridging it onto the inside. Of course, it won't be coming up over the DPC there, but yeah. So give me your thoughts. But you can see here, you know, this is mortared. It's mortared in most, you know, all the way around. But there it isn't. There's a big gap. So the other thing that I was looking at is cracks in here. This is a kind of like a concrete base, and I pulled this away here, and I was worried that this was cracking all the way into the concrete, and maybe this was then water ingress, but actually it looks like the concrete is fine. It's just paintwork that's cracking. So that, and you can see there's a bit more over here. Again, I was thinking, oh no, is that cracked all the way through? Because then the water's going down in there and then freezing, and then it's just going to go into the bricks. But I think this is obviously far more critical. Again, here as well. And where I was picking off the paintwork, here as well. Big hole there. So it's also not particularly well sealed all along here. So I think my two jobs: get this window replaced as quickly as possible. I think the concrete looks all right, and take up all these slabs, dig a trench and put in shingle, so the water can run away into the ground, and not sit up against the house. If you've got any ideas of what else it could be or other things to do, then yeah, by all means let me know. Thanks for watching.